So back to what I was saying about the beds. These beds they're in the ground, but they're starting to rise up. My whole idea was to be able to get beds that are not necessarily just boxes. I love gardening in many, many different ways, and we do have some box planters that I'll show you a little later that I actually built with a really cool DIY, like $19 plan. But these beds, as you can see, have started to take on a darker hue and a richer sort of constitution than what you see if I come over here and you just take a look at this hard red clay. This clay, if it rains, if we get a heavy rain here in Georgia, you can get a 2-inch an hour rain going. When that happens, all of this clay just turns into pudding. That's a pain in the ass to work in. Slipping all over the place, it's all over your clothes, and then when it hardens like a rock. So in just a matter of days here in Marietta, we can go from being able to hardly walk around back here, slip sliding, squashing around, to it actually cracking, the ground cracking under the dryness. Next time it's dry here for a week, I'll show you. And it looks like the floor of a desert or something. So what we're trying to do is build up some nice, delicious, fertile beds. And where this used to be at ground level, if I walk over this way, you can see that it's now starting to get some real height to it compared to if I put my hand down here, there's probably a good 3 or 4 inches that it's starting to rise. This next bed over as well. Of course, I just put down some bags yesterday, so this is a little fresher. But check this out. When you put your hand on it and it has that space in it, you can hear there's a bit of space in there. It's sort of like a body, right? It's sort of like if you have a large dog and you pet the dog and you kind of feel that hollowness under their ribs. It's like that. And what we're doing is we're creating space for things to work and grow. I have some friends here, the many squirrels in Georgia, that are aiding me. And as soon as I put stuff down here, I'll show you. As soon as I can put down compost or give something a minute to rest, look at what these squirrels will do. They'll come right in and they'll dig these monster holes. I mean, that's a few inches deep. And then of course I follow behind them and I kind of fill it back in. But what that is it's a process called aeration. And by doing this, they're doing their squirrel thing, we're just letting them be. I don't necessarily feel the need to chase out the squirrels, unless of course I put down seeds and they keep eating them up. But right now, nothing's really in the ground. So they've just been digging, finding good places to bury nuts and what have you. And by doing that, they're aerating the garden soil for me. So when you allow in air, when you allow in space and then fill it back in, allow in space and fill it back in, that's the basics of tilling. I know that a lot of people do no-till, and that's something I'm interested in learning about. But for this situation, I think we got a good thing going. Last year, we ended up growing 20 or 30 edible plants, among various other things, but not all of that was fruitful. A lot of it failed, and that's something I hope to show in here are some of the failures. There are certainly, right now, more failures than what we would call successes. I mean, ultimately, our failures are our successes, right? Because we succeed in what we learn from them. But that's what the garden is teaching me. It's about being able to attempt and to study what's going on in the process. And if you fail to know what happened, make a change, educate yourself, talk to people who know more about it than you do. That is enormously important. My father is a landscaper, and he's always been willing and able to hand me resources and teach me about this stuff. So I'm always drawing on him. My mom is also a voracious reader, and she loves to research and study. She has a huge collection of indoor plants that I'll probably walk you through at some point. But for right now, this is what the garden is to me. It's a place that I just love to be, and I hope to keep exploring it and exploring myself. I think those two may be so entwined that you couldn't really do one without the other. So what are you gardening? In what garden do you find yourself? That's what we're after.